You are being recorded.
Okay, then let's call to order this regular meeting of the MSRAC, Friday, January 8th, 9 a.m. First item on the agenda is approval of the November 13th, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Was that Bernie?
Yes.
Okay, Bernie moved, and who seconded?
I did. Steve.
Steve, okay.
That was my
Great.
sound test.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the November minutes?
Aye.
Any objections? Okay, the minutes are approved. Correspondence is number 3 on the agenda. We have none that I'm aware of. Number 4, citizens' comment.
Morning. How's
Good
everybody
morning.
doing?
Morning, Ken.
Good, Ken. All right, citizens' comments. I looked at the latest configuration for the bar, the Rawson Ave. I know you'll discuss it more in the under the the bar grant, but it's definitely appears to be more user friendly in that aspect with the parking and the way the island is, and to get a tractor trailer in there. So that's great. The drainage issue near Thatcher Road that Marla's been talking about, it's an issue that we've been trying to deal with since Connecticut Water put in the main in front of the town hall, because they were supposed to do the paving all the way back to 200. And that's been just trying to get them to get in there to unplug that has been, they just don't want to do it right now. It's not on their radar. But it's something that, you know, when the sidewalks get done, definitely if there's any digging and stuff that's got to be addressed before even moving forward with that part of the project. So
Yeah, that is specifically on the agenda, and I pointed that out to Yu Yang, like what station it is along the road alignment, so that he'll be prepared to discuss that with us.
other than that, hey, we're in the right direction. Things are looking up.
Yeah, they are. 2020 is going to be a good year for us. 2021.
It's got to be better than the year we just went through, without a doubt.
Okay, thanks. Any more comments for the MSRAC portion? See, it's hard to tell when I can't see any of you if you're trying to make googly eyes at me or something.
I don't think anybody
Okay.
was shy about adding their voice.
Okay. So let's move on to item 5, committee business. The first item, Eastern Connecticut Land Bank meeting. I just brought this up to keep everybody informed. We did speak at the land bank meeting on December 11th. We, the town, had very good participation. There was me, Amy, Tira, Steve, and Norma all spoke, and about the MSRAC, what we've been doing in town, what we've accomplished, and also kind of put a plug in for the future for 630 to be accepted into the Eastern Land Bank program at some time in the future. So I think it was a very good, productive meeting. They let us speak for, I think, probably like a half an hour. So we were able to give them a good presentation. And anybody else who was tuned in, please feel free to add your comments, or any other members if they have questions. Members or selectmen have questions.
Janet, my comment is that you did a great job with the summary. It was very comprehensive and kind of took everybody through our entire history. It was well done.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll keep adding to that. Now that it's in writing, I think I did share it with the members, and it's always hard to remember what you did 5, 6, 8 years ago, now that we've been in a committee for so long. So. Yeah. Okay, then I guess we will move on to B, committee membership, number of members. I feel like this is something we should discuss periodically, and since it's a new year, now is a good time to do it. I know that I don't think we have a charter that limits our number of members, but I believe that we had decided upon 7 as being a good number. It was an odd number, and we would have, if we had 4 members, we would have a quorum. But that being said, we do occasionally get interest from people who want to join. And we also may have members who, I consider all the existing members extremely valuable, but we might have members who want to move on and volunteer elsewhere or need to resign. So just general discussion. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the more people on the committee, the better. The more heads, the more energy. The only downside, of course, is the quorum issue. You know, jumping from 4, if you go to 9 members, you're jumping from 4 to 5 for a quorum. And, you know, that does make it a little more difficult sometimes.
Any other thoughts?
I just think those, of course, going forward, we don't know how long we're going to be doing this via Zoom, but I think attendance has been better using this platform. So it might be less of an issue if we continue using this. And we know we're going to do it probably at least a year. So if we have an interested member who's got experience or who's got a passion for it and is going to be actively involved, I hate to turn anybody away.
And
I'd lean in favor of the little more difficulty on the quorum issue to get more people involved. I think it's worth it.
I agree, Bernie.
so we have some informal people. So am I hearing that potentially 9 might be? I mean, I guess we don't, I mean, you do have to have a practical limit and odd numbers are good. So would it be, is it the consensus of the committee that we say will be a 9-person committee because we do think that there's some interested parties out there who might want to join us?
I think trying to jump to 11s probably might be a bit of a stretch. So, you know, an incremental step up to 9 is not a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I would never be in favor of 11. I've been to too many planning and zoning commission meetings.
Yeah.
So any other discussion?
I'm just looking at the code of ordinances really quickly because I feel like somewhere I did see that it was indicated what the number of members was supposed to be. And if it's not a charter, then was this created by ordinance?
I do not believe that this, but go ahead and check. I do
Yeah,
not
that's what
believe
I'm
it
doing right now.
was created by ordinance. It's an advisory committee.
Yeah, I think
That
it was
the-
created by Dave Babbitt, maybe. I mean.
And it might have been done by the Board of Selectmen.
It was done by the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, I
the-
don't see it in the, at least in the table of contents for the code of ordinances. So
I mean, I can go back to the minutes of that meeting and check to see if there's any restriction on that. If
so-
I can't check now, but I mean, we could agree, come to a consensus. If we are allowed to do it, let's do it. And in the meantime, I can check and get back to you, Janet.
Okay,
Sounds like a
yeah,
plan.
that sounds like a good approach. If we we just maybe won't accept any new members till next month until it's checked on.
Well,
Exactly.
you know what? I can scoot off for a minute. You guys can continue the meeting and I'll just take a look. It's not going to take me that long to find those minutes, I don't believe.
Okay.
And what year
great.
did you, so even 8
Uh,
years? 8 years back about?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to just pop off.
Okay. Boy, I'm wondering, I think I might, I'm not in my office. I might have a hard copy of that, but we'll see. Renee's good at looking that stuff up. So we'll kind
do
of
you
put
guys see
that
the
on.
note from Ken in the chat here? Add new members as alternates, and that keeps your quorum lower.
Oh, good thinking.
Very good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent idea. So why don't we move on to number C, volunteers for affordable housing working group?
Hey, Jan,
Yes,
it's Joanne. I just went back into my notes and there was a special, you gotta go back to 2012.
okay. Hopefully Renee can hear that as she's looking up. Do you know what the date is, Joanne?
Probably May 11th was a special meeting agenda for the Building Corticelli Improvement Committee on May 11th, Friday of 2012.
Okay,
Kevin Kennedy was our director of planning. I don't remember who was the selectman Dave Babbitt then? I don't remember who the selectman
Larry
was.
Grow,
okay. Well,
Larry
that-
Grow.
Hopefully that'll give Renee some more information to look at. I know that when a committee first started, we were more informal and we didn't have minutes for the first couple years. And then we,
Correct.
with FOI and everything, we started being more formalized. So
It was created, I got it. It was created April 24th of 2012.
April 24th, 2012. You don't have the minutes of that, do you?
No, it's the Town of Thompson Building Corticelli Park Committee charge.
Okay. Does it say anything about number of members?
It says investigate the feasibility and search for grants for potential building Corticelli Park. Ensure that the project shall not require the use of local revenues, but make use of an in-kind services. Ensure that the project will comply with all state, local, federal guidelines. Encourage local volunteers for the project, and ensure that any single expense under $10,000 shall have consensus of the committee. That doesn't say a whole lot, does it?
Well, it says encourage local volunteers, so
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
without limit of number, in my opinion.
Wow. Well, we had our first meeting on May 11th of 2012. Kevin, Renee, Steve, Dave, Roy, whoever Roy is, and Norma were present. Roy or Ray? I don't know who that is.
Oh, must have been Ray.
Ray,
Who's Ray? Oh, Ray Fosher.
Ray Fosher on the finance committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
While we wait for Renee to tune back in, do you want to go over number C, volunteers for affordable housing, and then we'll go back to B and formalize something?
Okay.
So I think that, Tiara, that's something that you wanted to go over with the committee members?
Yeah, so last end of June or early July, we were awarded a $15,000 grant from Department of Housing to develop an affordable housing plan for the town. That's a requirement of statute 830J, which says that towns have to develop affordable housing plans. They have to be updated every 5 years. And the deadline for getting your first plan on the books is July of 2022. So not that this is particularly relevant to us, but that implies to me that they're going to do another round of these this year. So I've been sitting on this this award not moving forward yet because DOH had also promised a guidebook for developing this, which was supposed to come out. Oh, here comes you, Yang, which was supposed to come out last September and finally came out the week before Christmas. So I presented the RFP that I worked up for a consultant to the Board of Selectmen this past Tuesday. It was fundamentally approved, so we're going to publish that today to hire in a consultant to create this plan with a working group over the next 6 months. And, my feeling on these things is always the more diverse the voices in the working group, the better. Having said that, there are a handful of volunteer boards and commissions and committees that I think have a specific interest in being a part of that, this being one of them, planning and zoning, obviously. The Housing Authority Commission, although I actually don't anticipate, because of the nature of their membership, that I'll get much interest there. And EDC, I would say, are the four sort of critical groups that have been thinking about the problems that relate to affordable housing. I expect it'll be a similar process to all the other big writing and plan formulation projects I've put together. Monthly meetings for a period of months and maybe a couple of public engagement events. In fact, we're requiring the consultant to facilitate at least 2 public engagement events to get direct feedback from the community. So like I said, the RFP is going out today. I believe I set the deadline for responses for the end of this month. And then the project to officially commence on the 1st of March with the working group and the consultant in place. It's off the top of my head. So anybody who would like to volunteer to be a part of that working group from this committee, please let me know. And it's in a couple months, we'll probably start that work.
Great. Sounds good. So I guess anybody who interested, just give you a call or shoot you an email or speak
pipe
now-
up or yeah,
speak up now.
however it most pleases you to communicate to me without me having to come knock on your door and say, hey, which
Yeah,
could happen.
That's what you do best, Tara.
That's what I got.
All right. Then I guess I would like to swing back to B. I see Renee's microphone is off. I don't know if we didn't give Renee much time. I don't know if Joanne's information about the dates helped her.
What was she looking for? Original notes?
You're
I
not
think her
waiting for me.
minutes-
We
Yeah,
were waiting for you, Renee.
Oh, gosh, I told you not to hold up the meeting for me. I'm not finding at this moment the minutes that where the board was created, so it's going to take me a little bit more digging to do that. So,
But nobody took minutes then, back then, so. what would they get?
seriously?
I think she's talking about Renee, were you looking for the Board of Selectmen minutes?
Yeah, and the mill site where, because sometimes it depends. Some boards have like their articles or their, something in the very first book of minutes that describes the board. Not all of them, but some of them do. So that's what I looked for both.
Yeah,
It was,
we didn't take minutes in the beginning, so I think that charge, the selectmen's charge to the Belden Corticelli Improvement Committee that Joanne read from April 24th, 2012 was our marching order document that established us.
oh, okay. And I'm sorry, I missed all of that. So in that charge, was there a description of numbers?
No.
Would you
Oh,
please, would you mind reading that again, Joanne, because it's pretty short.
Okay, it was created on April 24th of 2012, and it's on the official Town of Thompson letterhead, and Town of Thompson Belden Corticelli Park Committee charge, and there's 5 items. Number 1, investigate the feasibility and search for grants for a potential Belden Corticelli Park to be located at 630 Riverside Drive. Number 2, ensure that the project shall not require the use of local revenues, but may make use of in-kind services to include town personnel and equipment. Number 3, ensure that the project shall comply with all local, state, and federal guidelines to include the Town of Thompson's bidding policy. Number 4, encourage local volunteerism for project to ensure local buy-in and minimize the overall project cost. Excuse me. And 5, ensure that any single expense under $10,000 shall have consensus of committee, and any single expense over $10,000 requires approval of the Board of Selectmen. That's all. That's what I got.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
And the first meeting was May 11th of 2012.
Thanks,
and I-
Joanne.
Yes, thank you. And I know that we didn't have published minutes
No.
in the original early days.
Mm.
So, I mean, I feel comfortable if somebody wants to make a motion to add 2 alternate members, so that we could have up to 9, I guess, 9 members, and
I'll make that motion so long as the alternates are free to speak as though they were members, as versus, correct me if I'm wrong, or tell me, in P and Z, can the alternates participate in the meeting?
Yes, the
Legally?
only thing they can't do is vote unless they are seated for a regular member. But
Okay,
they are
then,
absolutely free to speak at it as a full member.
okay, then I'll make the motion to add 2 members as alternates.
I'll second that.
okay, Bernie made the motion, Steve seconded, and thanks for that clarification, Tara, because I also agree with Bernie, that's very important.
Yeah.
So all in favor, or any
Aye.
more discussion first before we vote? Further discussion?
The only discussion point I have is what would be the process? And maybe we discuss after the vote, but I've been approached by a potential new member, so I just want to be clear on what I tell her.
I would think send in a letter of interest to the town. I guess the selectmen actually,
There's a form on, there's a volunteer form on
Right.
the town website for people who want to come on appointed volunteer boards.
Okay.
And then I think, and Amy or Ken, you can correct me on this one if I'm mistaken, but once you guys approve a candidate, you kick it up to the Board of Selectmen so they can formally recognize that person. I believe that is the procedure. Is that right, guys?
That's,
basic.
this is Amy St. Ange. That's the way I understand it.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Okay, that's clear.
okay,
Basically a recommendation from the committee to the Board of Selectmen. Yeah.
okay. So any further discussion after that clarification on Bernie's motion? Then all in favor of adding 2 alternates to our membership? Say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. So if you hear of anybody who's interested, then have them follow those procedures that Tara discussed. Great. Okay, then, is there any other committee business, item D, under MSRAC's agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll adjourn the MSRAC meeting at 9:25, and we will open up the bar meeting. So I guess the first item on the agenda is calling it to order, which we just did. Second item is approval of the minutes from the November 13th, 2020 regular meeting. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Second,
Okay, I think
The
that was,
second.
I think
No.
Norma seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then moving on to item 3, correspondence. We have two items that I forwarded you. The ConnDOT commitment to fund letter for the sidewalk project, and the press release that was, released to kind of celebrate that news. And I did get, obviously there's a great comments back from all the members on receiving that funding for this important project. So
Do you guys want me to upload that press release to the MSRAC page?
Not a bad
Yes.
idea.
yes, please.
Okay, I will do that.
And maybe even, isn't there that town news link, just town news on the more general page?
There is. I'm not an admin on that, I don't think, but Renee certainly is.
Well, would that be appropriate? Is this a type of news that, I think that's appropriate. It's townwide.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So would you mind posting that up there, Renee?
No, not at all.
Great. So I guess we will move on to number 4, citizens' comments. Hearing none, we'll move on to number 5, committee business. First, we'll talk about the Lot Tip Route 12 sidewalk project, and our consultant, Yu Yang from Freeman, is in on this meeting, so he'll be participating.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good evening, everyone.
So, we're wrapping up the design. Maybe for the Rawson intersection configuration, Tira, can you share your screen from the agenda packet?
Which one do you want? The one you sent separately or the one from the packet?
I guess first the one from the packet.
Okay.
Okay, I can do it. I have it.
Okay, yeah, I'll enable screen share then. Give me a second here. Okay, you should be able to do that now, Yu Yang.
Sounds good. Sorry, bear with me.
No problem.
Okay, can everybody see it?
Not yet.
It's processing.
Well, if it's in the packet, I can pull it up. Let me.
Right.
I think it might have been the last sheet of the PDF, maybe.
Are we looking for the one you sent out this morning, Janet?
No, the one that had the agenda and the minutes in it is the full-scale plan from Freeman that shows the latest Rawson Avenue intersection configuration.
Yeah, it's the very
Yeah.
last page. I'm looking at it.
And Ken, I don't know whether Ken's available anymore. He had commented on it that, well, if he's available, he can restate his comment.
Tira, can you screen share with me? I got it up on screen.
No, it's coming up on my screen now.
Oh, okay.
Can you guys see that all right?
Yeah, if you
Yep.
can just pan it down a little bit, Tira, so we can see the building. Yeah, that's
Only-
good. That's good.
There you go.
So this concept came about by a couple things. I mean, nobody in the committee and DOT wanted the parking spaces to back right up onto Route 12. So I know there was, you look at the parking places kind of on the inside of the curb, but that was inhibiting large truck deliveries. So, kicking around other ideas, this one
Thanks
seems
to
to work.
Steve.
Yeah. And so I guess, go ahead, you Yang, give us any other.
Yeah, I mean, just follow up, Jeanette was saying that this is actually a revised version, so we can fit the WB50 tractor trailer backing in. So that's what the business owner currently have delivered for. And then knowing that the DOT or the doesn't like the on-street parking, so that's why we carve out this corner on the kind of north side of the intersections, so they have parking there. It kind of serve both purposes, that we still reserve some of the parking spaces, but also allowing the tractor trailer to make the delivery here. And the other thing I want to point out is, because this is a very wide intersection, so we introduce a mountable curb. So that's going to be a decorative type of feature there. So the truck can still drive through it and car can still drive through it, but it kind of differentiates where the driveway and the Rawson Road intersection is.
I think Steve, didn't you have a question on that? Are you still there, Steve? I think,
Yeah, I was on mute, sorry. Yeah, it was in that email I sent you, Janet. I forget right now what it was, but
I think-
with the car, the red that indicates the car hitting that first parking space. Would they understand that they could drive over that island? It's a mountable curb, I know, but trucks usually are aware of those kinds of things, that they can drive right over them, but I'm not sure if cars realize that. And then wondered about what the state's reaction to this intersection on their highway is. And there was one other thing. Oh, the bituminous concrete curb up at the top there is potentially damageable by trucks. It might be better having just a concrete curb there.
are you talking about right in front of the restaurant?
See on the left-hand side, the topmost note, bituminous concrete curb, which is just an asphalt curb. They get chewed up very easily.
Are you talking the note right above the blue tractor trailer tail end?
No, just below the north arrow.
Yeah,
Okay,
but that curb is adjacent to the concrete sidewalk seating anyhow, so it probably is appropriate that it could be concrete. Is
Yeah,
that
that's exactly what
correct?
Yeah, we can do that because for this project, most of the curb on the Riverside Drive is granite curbing. We can actually have the granite curbing all the way coming around, wrap around the radius.
Oh, even better.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
what's the purpose of the mountable curb island?
Well, the reason is because this drive, there's no separation between the driveway and the Rawson Road. So that the only purpose is I don't want to leave it wide open there. It feels like there's no clear definition where what's the driveway and what's the road.
So the dash lines heading up towards the north arrow, that's Rawson Ave right there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, Bernie, it gives this area much more definition, rather than leave it wide open.
No, I understand now. I didn't realize that was Ross and Ave.
Yeah,
Yeah, and, this has been a really challenging intersection, and just as the design has evolved, I feel like we finally hit on something that's not perfect. Nothing will be perfect, but it's a good compromise.
Yeah, I just want to follow up that we look at other options, but to really reconfigure this intersection, there's gonna be a significant cost involved because there's actually a retaining wall that separates the Rawson Avenue and the parking lot. To really make some significant change here, we're gonna have to reconstruct that. So I don't think the funding will allow for that at this point.
Okay, I guess I only have one comment on the DOT has kept saying that the parking spaces would require leasing, that the owner would have to lease the parking spaces in the state right away, and that is true. I know that often happens. Well, conveniently with this design, the parking spaces are no longer in the state right away. They are in the town's right away, so they are municipal parking. So I would just ask you, Yang, if you could slide those spaces 2 feet up the hill to Rawson Road so that 100% of the parking is in the town right of way. And then when we submit to DOT, we can tell them that we have removed parking from their right of way.
yeah,
Yeah,
good idea.
I can
That
certainly do. Mhm.
That also helps with another concern of mine is if you're coming down Rawson Avenue and now you stop at that stop line, the stop bar, that last car, because you're not at the front of your car, you're back, whatever, 8 feet from the front of your car. So that last car in that parking space kind of blocks your visibility of traffic coming south on Route 12, doesn't it?
What else would you have?
So moving them back to the east, I think would help. Would they even want to eliminate that last space? I don't know.
Well,
Can I ask, it's changing the subject a touch, but still dancing around this issue. Why can't the tractor trailers just park on the breakdown lane and take their hand trucks in through the front or walk them around the side? You see that everywhere all the time.
Good point.
Well, I think that's the coordination required with the property owner if that's acceptable for them.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
No, I was just saying that that's a discussion with the property owner. If that's acceptable to them, then we don't need to design for the tractor trailer backing into their loading.
Right, which means the parking space can switch back over to where Steve originally had them up against the building. Perhaps.
Well, like Janet says, that would then be in state land again.
and I'm
Would it?
concerned that the
No, it'd be outside.
no,
The
they
cars
would
would be where the tractor trailer drawing is, no?
no, the cars are kind of
No,
where the mountable curb and the patio are. So they
No,
would,
I realize that if you got rid of the back and tractor trailer, then the car spaces could flip over up against the building on the other side of Rawson Ave. Heading
Bernie,
into the building.
based on our meeting with the property owners, I think they'd balk at that significantly.
and I'm concerned about that from just the public safety issue of having a big truck. That's not a full shoulder. That's less than that. Yeah, that's not a full width. And that's supposed to be where potentially bicyclists are coming down.
Okay, all right. I didn't realize it wasn't full width. That's why I made that point.
Plus it's on a curve.
Yeah,
If backing in is something they have access to now, we'd be taking that away from them too.
Okay,
so I guess I think, is this one, this is on the agenda. I mean, when if this looks like this alternate is agreeable, are you, I noticed right now it just says lawn, and before there used to be some more plantings. I know you're not potentially that advanced in the design to get the landscape architect to put some trees in, but is that still planned for?
Yes, I think by looking at the budget right now, we do have some money left to do some landscaping so if this is what we're going with, I can have the landscape architect start looking at this and then give you a landscape design in this area.
Yeah,
if this, stepping back half a step here, if that lane is narrow, people are gonna wanna stop there to run in the restaurant anyway, and trucks still might try to park there. So maybe some no parking signs added would be appropriate.
yes. That's a good idea, Bernie. Okay, no parking.
So the other thing I want to bring up is with this layout, we only have 3 parking and 1 handicap parking. Is that going to be enough for the restaurant?
Oh, they have parking.
Obviously, they still have their parking lot in the back. I'm just saying that it's a reduction of the existing parking they have.
Janet,
I
did you
don't
go
think
back and
there's-
talk to them about restriping in the lot?
No, I didn't, but I didn't specifically mention that, but now if this alternate is going to be accepted, then we should provide a copy of this alternate to those owners and encourage them to put pavement markings in their parking lot to make it more efficient, to put signage in their parking lot to make it more efficient. And also the town is considering pretty much right down below where you have that stop sign logo in the park of potentially having a few municipal parking spaces. So I think with the combination of those things, it would be better than it was before. That's just my opinion, but
Can we look at that jump ahead and look at that other parking area while we're in this discussion?
just to be efficient with Yu Yang's time, since that's more of a
Okay.
municipal project, I'd like to maybe go over, that's outside, it's not being funded by this.
Right.
So if we could just be patient, and that way Yu Yang will be able to get back on his work day and not have to listen to all our committee business.
Sounds good.
So Ken also spoke on this issue, the number 2, which we don't have a graphic on, but I can describe. We did submit the plans to the Inland Wetlands Commission for an inland wetland agent approval to be accepted at their meeting next week. One of the things that the wetland agent commented on, which this isn't really a town problem, it's a state problem. There's clogged drainage structures at Thatcher Road, and the school's drainage that runs down some ditch goes into a non-traditional graded structure that overflows into the road. And so her thought was this unconventional drainage structure is kind of like right behind the sidewalk, and in fact is somewhat dangerous to pedestrians, that if there was an opportunity within the budget of this project to just look at that, since we're replacing catch basin tops, is there something that could be done with that? it is, we realize it's a state's drainage problem, and a lot of it is maintenance, not the structure. So I'm throwing it out, throwing it a curveball at you, Yang.
It's not completely the state's responsibility,
It
construction and
is.
everything?
The state owns both structures. The state's not maintaining the structures. The pipe in the road is clogged. And from what Ken said, they have been after the state to do this maintenance. And I also talked to Rich Benoit. He said he's been after the state to get them to do this maintenance. But our wetlands
Right.
agent has asked us to kind of look into it. So that's what we're doing.
I think if the issue is just a clogged pipe, I can definitely add it to the contract, just have the contractor clean out the drainage systems in that area.
Okay.
It shouldn't be a problem. The thing is, if there's grading involved, that would change the design or the scope of the work. If it's just a maintenance issue, just to clean the clogged pipe, that I can definitely add that to the contract. But if
Okay.
if you are requesting for redesign of the drainage system, then that's a different story.
Okay, your volume is loud enough, Yang, but your voice is a little bit like distorted. Would you mind saying that again?
I'm okay. Can you hear me okay right now?
Yes.
Yes.
I was saying that, sorry, the heat is on in this room and then there's a background noise. That's why. So I'm saying that if it's just a maintenance issue, the pipe is clogged, I can add an item there to ask the contractor while they're constructing the sidewalk and replacing the catch basin top, just clean the clogged pipe connecting the two catch basins.
That
We don't know what size that pipe is, I assume. Probably undersized is my point.
yeah. And old. It's probably older. It's probably ancient.
Okay.
In other words, there may be no true unclogging if it's a clay sectioned pipe where ground shifting, winter freeze thaw over the years has moved a joint. It may not be cleanable, and we may be opening a can of worms here.
I can tell you at that spot, it's not just a problem for the sidewalk users per se. There were a couple of days, either at the end of December or last week, when I was driving to work on there, and the ice buildup coming around that curb is like an iceberg, and then it slicks black ice across the northbound travel lane.
Yeah.
I think when Jeanette sent me the agenda, that was actually my initial impression is the ice on the road. I didn't realize the catch basin in the back is clogged. But to address the ice on the roads, we actually take a closer look at the grading. I think I would suggest is seems like the opening of the road is actually in pretty bad shape. I would recommend that we saw cut that areas so we can repave that section of the road. Not really the section of that opening. So we provide a proper pitch so the water can get to the catch basins. Right now the catch basin is actually further away from the corner. So I think it just need to be regraded a little bit to provide a proper pitch so the water can get to the catch basin.
Well, that's certainly reasonable.
Yeah, both those items you mentioned sound really good. And I guess I don't know if you do have photos of the area, but our public works director says that the graded structure just at the back of the sidewalk, not the catch basin in the road, that grate gets completely covered with debris coming off the hill. And that's also what lends itself to road flooding. It's not just the clogged pipe, but it's the inability of that back structure to let water get into the pipe. So,
Okay.
so I don't know if there could be like a replace the top of that structure or do something to that back structure right off the back of the sidewalk.
Right. I unfortunately, our survey didn't go further back to see where the drainage is coming to the back of the sidewalk. So I can't give you a confident answer. What's the solution right now?
Okay.
But if you, I'm thinking maybe I have to take another trip to go there to take a look.
Yeah, if you, yeah, that would be good. And all of this dialogue and discussion is enough information that I can relay this to Marla Butts, our wetland agent, that, you know, we're looking into it.
Yep.
And these are the things we're looking at. And that's, you know, we don't expect any answers today.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I'll plan on take another trip there, and once the plane is progressing along further, I'll take another trip just to vet it out, all the design is correct, and then I'll pay attention to that catch basin you just mentioned.
Perfect. Perfect. Anybody have anything else on number 2 drainage issue? No. Number 3, I put on landscaping plans. I think the reason why I put this on the agenda is I know you are starting to get to that phase where maybe your landscape architect will design some plantings, and we look forward to reviewing those.
Yes, currently the plan is to provide landscaping at Rawson Avenue, and the other landscaping will be provided near the town hall. I
Okay,
think that the original budget allowed. We didn't plan on doing a lot more landscaping along the road.
yes. I understand. If there is enough money for a couple more trees or something, Blaine Road, where that Blaine Road on the other side of the road, all that pavement is being taken away.
Is that I saw there was the other consultant or the town is taking care of that. We're just connecting the crosswalk.
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
So do you know the schedule of that construction going in?
Didn't he say spring?
He
Summer?
did. He said he was going to make it his first spring project. Just in terms of logistics, we know the state wants to be involved now too. You know, that they're going to come in and pave after this, after the sidewalk. So it's beneficial to everybody if it happens in this logical order. And Rich is aware of all that. So
Yep.
I would expect we'll see that sort of as the beginning phase of all this.
Exciting.
Mhm.
yeah. And that's one thing, Yu Yang, we don't know for sure, but the scuttlebutt on the street is that this summer the state is repaving that whole stretch where the sidewalks are going. So that's, you know, is part of the logical sequence.
Yeah,
First
but
do the-
we wouldn't have the sidewalks done by this summer, would we?
Yes, we will.
We will?
That's what we're going to talk next, but gosh darn it, this is 2021's project, Bernie.
Just to on the landscaping piece for Blaine Road, again, this is outside what we've asked Freeman companies to do is, you know, Renee and I had talked about this before, that the group of volunteers that got the community garden together, you know, that's going live as a public thing. So the volunteers aren't going to have to maintain that site again this year, but they're going to want to have something else to do. So as a beautification project, I think that might be a willing group of hands to take that on.
Excellent.
So do we have a theoretical start date for this?
We have, that's basically, that's like the next item on the agenda, Bernie.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at the map, not the agenda, sorry.
That's okay. So I guess, so you Yang, if you can run us through some of the permits, some of them might, like how long they'll take and what the order you'll submit them.
Yes,
And the people in town obviously need a chance to review like your 90% plans. And everybody keeps saying that we got to get the
Yes,
encroachment people
so right
involved
now-
earlier.
so the good news is we got a DOT commitment letter just before Christmas. So with that, the DOT will initiate the environmental screening process, which normally take about 60. And then they will also do a permit need determination. So once we have, that's probably 90 days based on the commitment letter. So once we have that, I anticipate we probably only have a state historical preservation office coordination need to be done. And I'm hoping there shouldn't be any, because everything, we're just replacing the sidewalk in place. Shouldn't be any more environmental permit that's required. So once we have that determination, then I'll file the whatever is required immediately. And based on, so talking about the schedule right now, I'm thinking about we'll be bidding on maybe April, May, and have my 90% design plan sometime in February for the town to review. And then we will have a bid probably around, bid open probably around June. Construction probably 2 months in July, August. Coincide with when school is not in session. That's the current plan right now.
Okay. Are you going to submit plans to District 2 for the encroachment permit, like soon before the 60 or 90 days?
The encroachment permit is actually going to be applied by we'll submit the plan for the district to review, but encroachment permit will be applied by the contractor.
Right. I guess that's what I mean, to submit the plans for the district to review.
Yes, once
Will
we
you-
have the 90% plans, and then once the town is happy with that, then we can put everything in motion. The plan will first go to the COG for their review, and then they will provide comments, and then in that coordination process, we'll get the district involved.
What month is that expected to be?
Probably right after February, right after you guys review, right after the town review it, probably around February, March.
Okay.
Do we need anything from the town other than wetland review? Board of Selectmen approval and wetland review, is that correct?
Yes. That the town will have to answer that. I mean, that's for what I'm doing, I'm anticipating just the inland wetland review. I don't know, the planning has to review this or not.
We've discussed before that they don't have a formal approval process, but that we said that we are going to get on their agenda for basically just project discussion to let them know what's going on in town.
Yeah.
For an informational meeting, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Tara.
I'm sorry, did you just ask me something, Janet?
We said for, as far as P and Z goes, they don't have a formal approval role, but we're going to get on their agenda for informational purposes and.
I think so. There's nothing in here that should be P and Z-able per se. But yes, that is what we had agreed, that this would go on the agenda in case they had any questions
Okay.
about how it affected anything else they were doing, or, or,
Right.
yes.
So when we get the plans in February that are like the plans for the town final review, I think those would be a good set of plans that we could take to the Planning and Zoning Commission in case they had any review or comments.
Yeah, I think so. So the P and Z meeting for February would be the 22nd, and it would be the same for the month of March, Monday,
Okay.
the 22nd.
So when we need to have the plans in like a week ahead of time. So could you shoot for like mid-February, Yang?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And a few of us should probably go to that P and Z meeting, I would think.
Yes. Yeah, the more participation, the
Oh, yeah.
better. It's probably going to be on Zoom anyhow, so we can all just sign
Yeah,
in.
good point. Good point. Yeah, I
Just
wasn't
sign it.
thinking.
Yeah, I can confirm that that will be on Zoom whenever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think right now we've gone through up through the bidding schedule. I guess I did want to discuss with you, Yang, like the process for the contract administration. Because as you know, our bar grant will be over when the design process is over, and we will need a consultant for contract administration for construction. And NECOG had told us that some of the money from the LOTSIP grant is available for that. So how does that work, and is
Uh,
that true?
Can someone pull up the commitment letter? There's a couple items there. I can explain to everybody what those are.
Yep. Just give me a second to find it.
It's also in that same packet because it was the correspondence.
Oh,
Tiara.
good point. Look at that. So I'll go back to that. And we'll just scroll up.
Here we go, right there. Can you just zoom in the middle part? Thank you. So this is actually the breakdown of the total funding that the town is getting from the DOT. For this project, there's no right-of-way cost. We're not touching any of the utilities. The construction cost is estimated to be 1.7 million. Right now, based on the design I have so far, our construction cost is right about 1.55 million, which give us about $200,000 to spend on somewhere in that range to spend on some amenities and landscaping items. But that's just a ballpark number that I have right now. So we're pretty much within budget. As far as the next item, contingency is what's the unforeseen during the, I'm sorry, contingency is what Janelle was referring to as the construction administration. So that money covers for if the town wants to use their in-house person to do the inspection work, or if the town want to hire a consultant like us to do the inspection during construction. Those are the funding that's available for town to use.
Okay. Is there, okay, because I'm pretty sure I can say that the town doesn't have the resources to do the construction inspection or, review the contractor's payment estimates and shop drawings
Yes.
and everything else. So I'm sure we will be looking for a consultant. That sounds correct, right, Amy, if you're still on? And Tiara?
Well, it certainly sounds correct to me. Amy's on, she's just on mute.
Okay.
Can we roll right into that with the same consultant, or does this have to go out to bid as a separate line item?
We would very much like to take on this job. Unfortunately, there's a $50,000 limit. So anything above that will have to go to bid.
Okay. And is that part of the, obviously, that's not a town thing, that's a state requirement for the lots funding?
Well, that's up to the town to decide what they want to use this funding for.
I'm
So-
sorry,
so that's up to you. That's up to the town to decide if you want to use this money and then have the town people do this, or if you want to put out a RFP to hire a consultant. But that's the funding that's for the inspection and
Okay.
contract administration.
So it
Where's-
is a separate request for a proposal, price proposal.
Correct.
Where's the
Yeah,
50,
that was my question, whether it was separate or not.
but where's the $50,000 limit? Where are you getting that one from, Yu Yang?
That's in the last set guidance.
Okay.
So if the town want to hire a specific consultant for this job, because it's lots of money, there's a $50,000 limits.
Wait, are you saying 15,000 or 50,000?
50.
50.
50, okay. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but based on your experience, this would exceed 50,000?
It most likely will, because the construction period I'm estimating right now is about 2 months.
Okay,
So you'll probably be looking at something about $100,000 for inspection services.
okay. That's good to know, because we will have to start thinking about it in the spring, putting out the RFP. And
Yeah, once you got the bid documents, then that's the next process. You'll be start looking for, if that's the way the town want to go to hire consultants, that's when you should start looking at putting an RFP.
okay,
And I can, we'll be going after that.
okay.
In that inspection process, how much time is someone from a firm actually on site? Like multiple times a week?
That's up to town to decide. You can actually request full-time inspection. So we will have a certified inspector, full-time, on the job. And then
Oh,
also-
okay. Now the numbers begin to make sense.
And also there will be a project manager like myself, overseeing the shop drawing reviews or any
Yep.
of the contractors' request for information, or answering their questions, and then reviewing their payment, and then authorize that so the town can actually pay the contractor. So we're reviewing all the payment requisitions, and then approve it for town to authorize the payment.
Yeah, so it's really more than just inspecting a hole in the ground, so to speak.
It's actually, yeah, it's a full service, basically. The consultant, whoever is hired, will be taking most of the work, will be doing most of the work for the town, and then the town will be just authorize the payment at the end.
Perfect, thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions about, anything having to do with Freeman's work, so we can let, this, whatever, the schedule, the design?
I'm good.
Okay, then I guess we should release Yu Yang off to his engineering job.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You have a good day.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Ian.
Bye-bye.
Because the last item I put number 3, notify abutters, is something I think is a town responsibility and something that maybe something that the towns, as it gets closer, I mean, we're talking out in June, but that some kind of a letter should go out to all the abutters. I mean, ideally the letter should be sent to the abutters. You can put stuff on the website and other ways to reach out, but to let people know that this, this construction is going to come by, it's going to tear up their driveways. They have to
I
be
think if I
patient.
lived on Route 12 and I walked out my door one morning and saw this happening, I'd be irritated that I wasn't notified by mail.
Yeah, I think that's a fair observation. I mean, once construction is scheduled, I mean, it's not like it's gonna be scheduled on a Tuesday and start on a Wednesday. We'll
Yeah.
we'll have, I'm sure, plenty of notice to be able to give people.
Right, probably about the time that at the bid opening, we'll know for sure that, the project comes in within the funds available, so it's going to be really a go, I would think at that point. I don't know if the town has any sample draft letters from previous similar jobs, but, at that time, I agree with Bernie, they should be notified by mail, a list of abutters on that whole side of the road.
Unless,
Maybe
I'm
even
sorry,
across,
Janet. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
maybe even across the road too. Everybody living on that road within the project limits should get a letter.
Well, and never mind living, there are businesses that actually will have some impact in terms of people being able to turn in and out of their lots.
Right,
Should we have a public not a public hearing, a public meeting on this like we've done with the mill?
It's not a bad idea, Bernie.
it's not except for COVID. How are we just gonna have
Yeah, well, Zoom, right?
Yeah, everything's just Zoom.
Geez.
Everything's Zoom and probably you won't get a lot of attendance to it, but if it's, these are all recorded on video. So once we have that captured, we'll just peel it. We can just peel it out of our YouTube channel and post it prominently for people to review.
Okay. So that, again, that would probably be another thing. So it sounds like the town's gonna get plans mid-February to review. So that's really when we need to review everything, the landscaping, because there's kind of no going back, like all the geometry, configuration, details, landscaping, and we will have met with P&Z so we can get any other additional comments off of them. So I don't know, maybe that's the time to get public comments before the plans go out to bid.
Yep, I'll just add to the discussion that it's one more thing for all of us to do. So I think everyone should agree that it's worth the effort.
Oh, I think it's worth the effort. There's nothing worse than having a project soured because people feel personally wounded by it, inconvenienced by it, and then it's impossible to counteract negative word of mouth, right? Once that starts to run, it's just a many tentacled monster.
No, you're absolutely right. One of my guiding principles is that it takes about 100 positives to erase one negative.
Yeah, at least.
Okay, so we can just kick around some dates and times. Tira, we can try to, how would we advertise this? What would we, just like in the paper and
Well, we could
the website?
we could try to get some time on Winnie, and I'm actually thinking their midday news program, not Gary O, which is more like fluffy stuff. Although maybe that's a good route as well. Yeah, so plenty of online. I can certainly send it as a press release. I mean, we've got that handy dandy press list now from the the marketing contract that we did with Sullivan and Lashane. So that is sort of one of my my office New Year's resolutions, is to try to send out press releases on as close to a weekly basis as I can to these press contacts, to call attention to the work that's being done on many projects. So yeah, that's a good habit to be in general, and yeah, I would utilize that. We've got plenty of avenues to get information out. You can always put it out there. You can't force anybody to pick it up. You can't force anybody to listen. But you know, a thing should never be opposed because people can legitimately say, well, nobody told us, you know.
Right. Okay, so let's plan for that. We can, you know, Tia, you and I can maybe look at the calendar and try to pick some stuff that's in good coordination.
Yeah. Yeah, just in terms of public workshop-y kinds of things, the Trainwreck Park Group will be doing one with their Yukon design team in March sometime. So I would say more than one big public brouhaha in a month might be challenging to get the kind of attention you want. So
Well, maybe end of February. What about the week?
I was just thinking end of February might be the solution there. Let me look at my book, just make sure there's nothing that I'm forgetting that's significant. I mean, P&Z is the 22nd of February. And then in my book, I have nothing out that week. Amy, is there a selectmen's meeting on Tuesday, the 23rd of February, or is that an off month or an off week?
Let me see. That should be the off week for selectmen.
So any of those 3 nights from my perspective would be usable: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, and that gives P&Z their time to add their 2 cents, I guess, if we're going to plan that.
What about just not to have too many, what about the next Monday, like the 28th? Wait, is that the, or 29th? I'm not looking
Well,
at a calendar.
there is no next Monday in
Oh.
February.
Good, that's why I'm not looking at a calendar. Okay, well, I would say, yeah, 24th.
Wednesday, the 24th.
Well, you said P&Z was the 22nd. That must be a Monday. Yeah, so that would
That's a
make that a
Monday.
Wednesday. Yep, okay.
So I'm going to at least pencil that for now.
We can pencil it, and I think I will follow up with an email to you, Yang, and tell them now we scheduled all these things, so we really have to have the plans by mid-February.
I love a deadline.
Yeah, we have to, he gave us a lot of good months, you know, dates at this meeting, and I think we kind of should type that up into a schedule and try to make sure they adhere to it, because right now we're talking about construction July or August. You know, if that gets pushed out a month every month, then it won't get done in 2021.
Right.
So February 24th for the public informational meeting, correct?
Definitely that week, and we're going to pencil it for the 24th right now. We just need to double check and make sure there's
Yep.
no other
Yep.
conflicts that we haven't anticipated.
Right, we'll be notified by email if there's a change.
Oh, yes.
Okay, then. Oh, actually, what time?
It's 10:20.
10:20. Okay, I have 10 more minutes. Hopefully we can.
Ooh,
get through
well,
it.
I have some comments on the new parking, so let's make sure we at least get to that.
Okay, so that's where we are now. That was the potential additional parking spaces in Swanson Park. And this is just something that I threw together when I heard that there was discussion about possible parking in the park as a potential alternate. I have no idea what the Board of Selectmen have had in mind for this municipal parking, but it was just kind of a reality check is, can it fit? What would it be like? The only thing that I can say is that that road is one way to the south, and that needs to remain so because there's a dangerous sight distance at that intersection.
And we're talking Market Street, right?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Is there a reason the parking spaces can't be on the railroad track side as versus the park side? Or am I misinterpreting the drawing?
I just used this map because there was a leftover survey from Freeman, so
Yeah.
nobody is, I don't, there's been, to my knowledge, no in-depth look at any other alternates. Like you said, this was just something I threw together without good survey information.
Yeah, for all we know, it could be a 20-foot drop off down to the railroad track, which it
Right.
probably is.
And I don't know how many spaces are being contemplated.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's even mad at me for making this. I don't know. I just kind of did it.
It's hard to imagine anybody getting mad at you, Janet.
I
I
mean,
mean, in terms of adding parking in that area, what this does is it avoids adding a ton of pavement, which, as you know, I would be not crazy about having a whole ton of asphalt where once there was, I mean, even an ugly patch of grass and shrubs is still more permeable than asphalt. I mean, it does seem to be pretty non-disruptive.
Amy, was this what you had in mind? I mean, I don't know if there was anything.
I thought it was fabulous. And again, just the only reason I had brought it up was, again, just finding solutions for parking for the actual use of the park. Now that there's a couple picnic tables there, it might attract more people to, you know, take a spot underneath the tree and read a book, or if there was adequate parking, and certainly to help facilitate additional business along that corner. Not only Milltown Grill, but any of the other businesses in the adjacent buildings. So it was just a thought. It's something still for consideration. And whether or not it could go on the opposite side of the road could be potentially an option. I don't know. We just haven't looked that deep into it.
My only thought on the opposite side of the road is it doesn't take away from the park.
Right. Yep. No, I agreed. If that's potential, that might be even better.
But my guess is it's a steep drop off down to the railroad tracks because
Or we
Route
might
12 is elevated.
Or we might be limited as to how close we could get to the railroads right of way.
Correct.
So.
Well, it may be something, Janet, that we can take a walk, you know, when things are a little warmer, we're getting further down in this process, because obviously this is secondary or following whatever work is done on the sidewalk. So it's not even a choice that needs to be made immediately.
Right. And it's a municipal improvement that is, you know, tangentially related to the sidewalks, but it definitely can have its own schedule and its own.
And it's consistent with what the situation is with parking in other parks along Route 12.
It is, although I will point out that we actually have too much parking in Riverside Park. That Riverside Park is almost 50% asphalt in some spots.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, and we have a hugely underutilized municipal parking lot 100 feet up Route 12 from this, you know, at the library. There is a massive amount of parking that never gets used. And, we're always talking about comparisons to Putnam. If you go to if you want to go to the stomping ground in Putnam and those spots in front of the building are taken, there's, you walk from the parking lot where that little registry building is. That's just what people do. We're not in the habit of doing it in Thompson because we haven't had anything to really walk to. But, that is not an unfeasible walk to get to a restaurant. And I know that is not the solution that the Milltown Grill owners are after. And I don't necessarily object to this solution. I do think it's pretty minimally disruptive. But just from a, using what we've already got in place perspective, if we have massive amounts of underutilized parking on some level, why are we adding more?
Well, because of location, because
Right.
this
No,
is right there at the
yes.
park.
Right,
And
right.
three or four spots right there is a good idea. And you could put a sign that says additional parking at the library.
Yes, which I think we should be doing regardless
Let's
with
face it
Milltown.
here, when I go to Putnam and I go to all the different restaurants in Putnam, there's parking on the back side of the crossing near the tracks. There's parking behind someplace special where the shopper's guide parking is that people utilize. There's parking down by the post office. There's parking to the back side of Stomping Ground, which is if those spaces are full in front of the Stomping Ground, I go to the back side. I don't even go to the commuter lot. But there's a wealth of parking in Putnam. And
That's true. That's true.
And as we see this corner develop, you're going to want pockets of parking so people have options. So they just don't drive by. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great idea, and I think it can be where it's drawn. I think it can be across there at the railroad tracks. I think it can go another few feet and turn the corner. It can be coming in from the very end of the park area. I think, further study is gonna find a really good spot to do this where there's very minimal impact on the park.
If the paving's already there, what about just restriping? And if you have a one-way situation, some parallel spots, you could probably get 4 or 5 parallel spots on the opposite side of the park, and not
Not a bad, yeah,
not
not a
have-
bad idea.
And that's a fantastic idea too, Steve. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, great idea, Steve.
Yeah, and that doesn't cut in at all, really.
Yep.
I know that the slope stuff, this is a little bit the flatter spot. The more you go to the right on this sheet, it starts to slope off, but you can definitely still have parallel parking spaces.
Yeah, even on a slope.
Yeah, right.
As long as it's not Mount Washington, there's no reason not to.
Right.
Right. And if we're looking at the original problem that we're trying to solve, which is the number of spaces that Milltown stands to lose in this reconfiguration. So we're giving them back, 4 on the opposite side of that mountable curb. This proposes 5, you're up to 9. That's got to be pretty close to where they are anyway.
Yes.
If it's parallel, you may be able to get even more.
Yep.
And with that one way that comes down, what is that called? Market Street there?
Yes.
Nobody's going to be backing out into traffic there. They have to go around to get out. So they'd be nose out coming back onto Route 12.
Yep.
Right.
I think it's a great idea.
Great. Good discussion.
Good.
So let's, does anybody have anything else to add before we may possibly hear about John Gumpert's plans? Why don't we
You're
move-
running out of time. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Has anything been submitted? Does anybody have any updates?
This is Amy St. Ange. From my point of view, what I've been waiting for from John is a plan. He was supposed to send me a plan for the freezing of the assessment on the property based on a project that he's doing elsewhere in Connecticut. And I haven't received that as of yet. So once I receive that, we will work on a plan for him. I'll work directly with the assessor. based on the proposed units, et cetera. So we can build a similar plan to propose to him, which will be helpful as he goes for funding.
Great.
Yeah, we had provided some additional letters of support, which he'd asked for to support his funding. So Cindy Dunn and I wrote one up on behalf of this office that made it clear that although we couldn't promise any one answer or another from the Planning and Zoning Commission, that he'd been in front of the commission and that you know, everybody's interested to see more. So it was a very sort of favorable setup for him.
Good. But he hasn't, yeah, because he hasn't submitted anything to P and Z. I think the last time we met, he was talking about submitting, well, he said November, and then his attorney said December, that they would submit something to P and Z, but I guess they haven't.
Well, they came into P&Z to do an informal,
Oh, okay.
and that must have been
In November.
November. Yeah, it has to have been November.
November 23rd.
And I would expect we'll see them in first quarter 21 again, as he's got more information. But that was a very favorable reaction and presentation, and the commissioners had some questions for him for sure. But I don't think anybody would be surprised to find that pretty much everyone is in favor of that project succeeding in every possible way.
Good, good. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought it was going to be more of a formal submission, but that's excellent that they came for that informal talk. Great. I guess I did have an item to talk, but our agenda was so full that when I said future grants question mark, maybe we can talk about that on another meeting if since now we seem like we have our work cut out for us.
Yeah, but this is good. This is all really good.
Yeah.
Nothing succeeds like success, as they say.
Yeah. So is there?
Oh, did everyone get my photograph of the Route 140 in Princeton, Mass? Those hatch marks coming in from the side of the road where you have to slow from 40 to 30?
Yes, I did, Bernie. And actually, I forwarded that to our National Park Service partners for our Trainwreck Park project.
Yep.
I think those are fantastic. Visual traffic calming is actually very effective. And we are looking at trying to posit some solutions sort of outside this area, but you know, for that sharp curve around where the airline trail has entrances on opposite ends of, I can never remember if that's New Road or the other one. Yeah, I think we should be looking at that kind of low-tech solution in probably a number of areas where we may have lanes that are too wide or speeds that are too fast that we know about.
Steve, Janet, did you see that?
No, I didn't receive that, Ernie.
I didn't get it either, Bernie.
Let me see if I can find it in my email. Hold on.
Okay.
So,
It's extraordinarily effective. They combine it as you head north on 140 or either way, actually, as you approach the residential area where you have to slow down, they have these little 18-inch white stripes coming in from the sides of the road towards the center of the road on both sides. It starts right with the 30-mile-an-hour sign, then another couple hundred feet, there's another 30-mile-an-hour sign, then another couple hundred feet, there's a radar blink, a radar speed indicator, which is, I'm sure, an expensive item that we wouldn't see, but the whole thing comes together. You don't miss it. Your foot goes to the brake and you slow down.
Wow.
I found it. Give me a second here.
yeah, that sounds really good. I actually really have to leave like now, unfortunately.
I do too, Jan.
There it is on screen.
So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's effective. Yeah.
yeah, I look forward to
Tactical urbanism.
studying that.
Tactical.
All
I was
right.
thinking by the school. Take care, Janet.
Okay.
I have to get.
Yeah, this is very interesting and I want to proceed more with it, Bernie, but I have some client coming in for a meeting, so I gotta run.
What?
Okay.
Personal business ahead of town? Come on.
I gave an hour and a half. That's my limit today. So any other committee business? Can we talk about it next month?
Yes.
Correct.
And-
Yes.
And member comments. So if we can please adjourn, I think this was a great meeting and so
Yeah.
exciting, all the stuff that's happening. And
Good night, Dan.
you commission members are so valuable, committee members are so valuable, and your ideas are great.
Yeah. Very
So
good.
let's adjourn.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks.
Here, one comment before you log off.
Go
Okay.
ahead. Oh,
Well,
Tira?
didn't
Okay.
really need everybody, just that the person that's trying to volunteer is having trouble with that volunteer form on the website. So if you could,
Yeah.
to Renee, and maybe it's on her end, I don't know.
Okay, I'll see if I
Steve,
can.
Steve, why don't you let Tira know who that person is?
Okay, it's Heather O'Rourke.
Oh, Heather O'Rourke. Yeah, I know Heather.
You know her? Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess she
I'm
had
sure I can get that form to her.
that worked in both those mills, and so she would love to be involved in the committee.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, good. Thank you.
Steve,
Bye all.
bye
Yeah.
all.